It won't let me leave off, so. Hello, welcome to B2 TV. I'm Carrie and I'm at the IKEA and I'm gonna hide now. Bye.
Hi, Carrie. Thanks for carrying us through.
Bye, Carrie.
Sorry for our technical difficulties today. Carrie was nice enough to launch our broadcast from an IKEA somewhere in Wisconsin on her way home from her week-long road trip. So thank you, Carrie. And if you're joining us today, we have one of my favorite people on the planet, Luke Reynebeau, Sprout Social. He's actually the senior manager of partner marketing. And Luke and I met how many years ago?
A couple years ago. Mm-hmm.
Like several years ago, we finally met officially, and he's just one of my favorite people on the planet. Totally cool guy. And he's been helping B Squared Media with our partner marketing through Sprout Social for several years. He's my go-to. I lean on him. I cry on his shoulder. And today he's here to tell us about all things social listening. So Luke, thank you so much for joining us and lending your social listening knowledge.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so fun. I've watched from afar, so longtime listener to the Facebook Live for you guys, and first time guest. This is exciting.
So exciting. So, we have this Hello conference coming up at the end of next month, March 28th. For those of you listening in New Jersey, grab your tickets. The early bird tickets are only good through the end of the month, so you've got like 10-ish more days or so. But Luke is one of our speakers, and he's going to be speaking on a topic that I couldn't stress the importance of more, which is social listening. So to start out, Luke, for those people who may be listening who don't know what social listening is, what is your, explain it like I'm 2 years old, definition of social listening?
I love that. Those explanations are always the hardest, but the best. So I'm glad we're starting here. I agree with you. Social listening is such an important and awesome topic for all of us to be focused on and paying attention to. And really, I would say it ties to the evolution of social. We look back at the days where social was all about publishing content that you had or offering discounts on Facebook. And it was all about pushing a one-way street. We've evolved. Now it's been more two-way and conversational, which is really great. We are at a really critical point where we are now wanting to be more proactive with how we listen to consumers. So that is the high level of social listening. How it helps from the tactical ground level, how I like to explain it, and how we've looked at it at Sprout too, is there's a difference between social monitoring and social listening. I think we all understand what monitoring is, right?
Yes.
It's that idea of looking for your keywords or your brand or mentions of your organization or business or the things that are important to you so you can respond and get ahead of any crisis communication. Social listening is being more proactive and being ahead of where people are talking about your brand specifically, understanding what they want, what they like, what the insights that they're looking for that isn't a specific example of, hey, organization, can you help us out with this?
Yes, I love that distinction because I've never actually thought of it that way myself, but that's the perfect distinction, right? Monitoring is kind of like living in the now.
Yeah.
And listening is being more proactive so that you can make better strategies, better content, whatever it may be. That leads me into my next question, which is, what are some of the ways you guys see your partners at Sprout Social using social listening? Because I know there's a lot of different ways to use it. I know we use it in a couple of unique ways. So give us just some run-of-the-mill examples of how people use social listening.
Totally. Great question. And I won't give away too many spoilers for the talk next month because we'll get into it a little bit more. But some of the common use cases are the ones that I think we all will think of when we think of social listening in the extension. It is understanding people's sentiment of what our brand is, our product is. So getting a really good sense at a high level of how do people feel, what are their emotional reactions to a new brand launch or product launch. That's one really interesting use case when it comes to social listening. We start to extend that out to look at social listening for other use cases that are in that more proactive sense of what are people talking about as it relates to a category. So if I'm Nike, how do I look at the conversation that's happening on social to understand what types of shoes we should be releasing in the future? And it can really influence product research and how we develop new categories from that perspective. And the third one that I would highlight that's a bit more, that's pretty marketing related, but a bit more out there when we think of how we're proactive is brand sentiment. So how do people feel and think about our brand, or how do they want to feel or think about our brand? And how can we help facilitate conversations with them to help influence and strengthen that perception of us. we've done a decent amount of research over here at Sprout, and actually we just released a new Brands Get Real report. And one of the things that we saw was over half of consumers were looking to form a strong connection with brands, organizations, the businesses that they work with each and every day. And how they helped get to that point was feeling like they were connected and they had the same values on social. Social listening can help inform how you connect with those consumers.
Yes. Oh my God. This is making me like my senses tingle over here because, Mark Schaefer.
Spidey sense, right?
Yeah, Spidey senses.
Yeah.
Mark Schaefer, who's our keynote, his new book is The Marketing Rebellion. And it's all about like the tagline of the book is the most human company wins. And it's about that connection, right? Like consumers are so tired of being a number or a dollar sign. Yeah. And we want to be connected with brands. So can you touch a little bit more on like, how do you see, or what's a good example that you've seen of a brand kind of helping make that connection, maybe through data that they've gotten through social listening?
Yeah, great question. I would say the beauty industry has a lot of great examples here, particularly because there's such a community that's involved around beauty and products that are related to that, of how people feel about themselves. There's such an emotional reaction to people who buy beauty products, of what they feel about the brand. And I think there are some really good examples out there. Fenty's one that comes to top of mind for me, of people really putting in the work to understand not just what product can we sell tomorrow? How do I get beyond that transactional relationship to how do we form more connections that are outside of just you buying a product from me? How can we talk about the same types of things and make that connection between what you like outside of beauty, and I can help connect you with those other areas that are important for your life. You start to see communities come up around brands, particularly in the beauty space, because people feel such a strong affinity to the brands that they're connecting with. And it doesn't come out of nowhere, right? It's about really understanding your customers. And not from a abusing data perspective. It is about understanding what they actually want and need, because they're telling you. And that's where social listening really is helpful, because you're not going through back ends, you're not trying to find information, aggregating different data points, but you're asking, or they're sharing it, and you're just consolidating that information to have a better understanding of how to talk and connect.
Yeah, we use social listening, as you know, with some of our clients, and we found an interesting correlation recently. We haven't done anything with it yet because we're like, what does this mean exactly? We're still trying to figure it out, but it was on positive sentiment and people mentioning the brand in a positive way, but also there was a correlation to unicorns.
Oh, interesting.
With that positive sentiment. So we're like, okay, so maybe we need to create some sort of like branded unicorn type content. Like we're not there yet, but it's so interesting what you're saying, like the pattern and trend discovery that you can use through social listening and what you see on negative, positive, or neutral sides to kind of help you get creative with how to connect even further with some of these consumers.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to hear a little bit more about how your agency sees it too.
Yeah. So, well, as you know, and I will be talking about social listening in my conversation at the Hello conference as well, because I want to show real live examples. So we'll be showing actual, tactical, practical. Here's an actual client. Here's how they're using social listening for XYZ. We've got some CX experimentation in there to show you how that works. We've got sentiment as showing you how. One of the things that we're working on with sentiment that I think you guys would find really interesting is negative sentiment, and it's for a global a luxury appliance brand. That's the client, and whenever we find that negative sentiment around a certain product, what we've been doing is taking the larger sections of the pie, because we kind of break down the data for them and show them which products have the most negative sentiment, and then what they're doing on their side is actually creating how-to videos on the particular negative sentiment that they're receiving. So, my machine, I can't figure out how to change a cartridge or whatever it may be. We're actually putting together content or helping the client put together content that solves that pain point. And hopefully, once we have that content developed and published and we can send people who have that negative sentiment to that content, we hope to see the scale kind of tip into a positive sentiment on that particular product and the pain point, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I love that. It's the way that social listening can help identify what is the trend that you want to, or the sentiment that you need to fix, to improve. And then it helps you track that performance over time too. So it's not a moment in time of, well, everybody loves us, or you deploy during crisis communication when things can happen. So that's a great example. It makes me think of coffee. I feel like the monitoring reactive version is, I'm a coffee shop, and how do I interact with people saying that my coffee was burnt this week or the wait was really long? Those are things that they are actively telling you, and you can think about in a broader way as saying, how do people see coffee shops? What is the interaction that they want to have, and how can we expand that experience? And that's where social listening takes you from a transactional relationship with customers to being something about you're part of their everyday life, and they're interacting with you at every touch point in their customer journey, from the time that they bought their first coffee from you to the time that they were disappointed to the time that they're your biggest brand advocate. There are just so many cool uses across the life cycle.
Oh, totally. And when we talk about that being connected point, I mean, as a consumer myself, right? We're all consumers. Even though we're marketers, we're also consumers. So if I think about a brand coming to me and saying like, hey, Brooke, I'm so sorry you had this problem. Can we get more information from you, or can we understand more? And then seeing something result out of that, whether it's a how-to video or we created a mobile app where you can place your order online and go to a different line and pick up your coffee. Whatever that situation is, how much more connected? I mean, the loyalty that you would induce by doing that and being that type of brand, to me, I mean, these are the types of brands I, as a consumer, want to be involved with.
Totally. I absolutely agree. I think one thing is easy to get caught up on is it seems like it's such a big thing to tackle, and you need all these huge systems, or you need to be a big brand. But really, everybody can take advantage of something like this, because it is about how your consumers connect with your storefront, or with your multiple storefronts, or your brand if it's a global brand. So there's a ton of implications for all of us, solo marketers, but also big organizations.
Definitely. I mean, we have clients who are using it who are large, like the example I gave, but also small. We have a small instance of a financial brand who's actually local to you guys in Chicago, and they're using it to really help with becoming more connected to their consumers. Question for you. So you're saying anybody can use social listening. And I think this kind of fits into with the topic of the Hello conference, right? We're talking about machines and intelligent tools, and social listening is definitely an intelligent tool. But as a marketer, what if I feel like I can do social listening on my own? Yeah. What would you say? What would your advice be if I'm like, I don't need to use a tool, I can do it on my own? I mean, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to pretend like I don't have access to your amazing tool. Yeah. If I were to come to you and say, I don't need your tool, I can listen on my own, how would you respond to that?
Yeah, I would first empathize with you if you're going to take on that undertaking, because I don't know how much time that would take to be able to do social listening on your own. And after we did that, after I empathized with that, I would say, number one, I would separate the philosophy of social listening and how important it is from a brand to the practical applications, because we all should be thinking from a social listening perspective of how can we be more connected and more proactive of how we bring great things to the people that love and want to interact with our brand. When we look at the practical applications and we think about how machines or AI or all this technology can help us out with that, that's where the difference between monitoring and listening really comes into play. We can all have a handle and put in some processes in place or workflows, or just be really agile in how we respond and react to questions about our brand on social, or inquiries that come into our Facebook page, for example, or mentions on Twitter. But when it comes to actual social listening, that's where it becomes more proactive, more at a high level, and you really need tools and assistance to make sure that you're aggregating all of the data in a way where you're hearing the things that rise to the top and the things that you haven't thought of looking for, instead of just the queries that you know that you want to know more about. And that's when it gets beyond just looking for your brand and looking for the things that your consumers are actually talking about outside of your brand. So coffee as another example. They may specifically be talking about your coffee shop, your specific blends and brands of coffee that you provide, but you really want to know more about how they think about how coffee fits into their day-to-day. The times that they talk about days aren't good enough until I start with this type of coffee, or it really is part of my routine. I go into Mondays feeling sluggish until I get to your coffee shop, or, make my day even better. Those are the great things that you can glean and learn from social listening that maybe you can't get in those more direct transactional reactive interactions you have. The data that you can get from using technology is how you get to that next level to think proactive. So it is something that everyone should think about doing, but there are tools out there that can help you at every step of the way.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the time factor alone, I'm having a light bulb moment. What if this is kind of like sidebar for a second. Everybody, we see a squirrel. I'm just going to run there real quick. But what if we put sort of like example social listening reports from Sprout in each one of the goodie bags so that the people who attend the Hello conference can actually understand what a social listening report looks like, because I think you're right. There's so much data that comes into these reports, and then we take chunks that we need based on the client's KPIs and kind of put together a custom report using your system or using our stuff. But at the end of the day, it's so much data. Like literally you would have to have a team full of like, I don't know, I'm gonna throw out 20 people out there listening for all of these different factors, and they'd have to be listening 24/7 in shifts. Like the machine should do the work, and then the human element comes in when we come through, we look at the data and we figure out how to pull it together to help tell the story.
Yeah.
So
I love that idea. That's a great idea.
I think it might be fun just so that every person leaves with like, hey, this is what it looks like. Here's all of the data that's involved, and your reports are so pretty. so I think they would really enjoy it. And and then hopefully we can whet some appetites for social listening.
That'd be cool. That'd be awesome. I love that idea because it brings it home outside of the idea of we can all learn from the interactions we have. The places where we get all this information is where consumers are sharing it. And at the end of the day, they are sharing it on places like Twitter. And the fire hose of information coming from Twitter, like you said, you might need 20 teams of 20 to be able to go through. And let's use that human power, that knowledge and insight into how people are wanting to interact with us at the end stage. Let's not do it on the data collection. Let's do it once we get to that point where we want to understand the insight.
Yes.
There could be a really cool.
Take it a step further, and y'all have the report, and then we say, based on the data from the report, our team would recommend these 3 things. Based on what we're seeing. So they can understand that whole picture from machine to person to a new strategy or a new product or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
An
idea. It sounds like I need to attend this conference. That's what it sounds like.
People need to attend because I think the value that we're going to bring is going to be phenomenal. So I'm really excited about it. And speaking of, what can you tell us about your talk at the conference without giving it away? Because we do want people to attend. But for those people who are like in California, I just can't make it out at the end of next month, what little golden nuggets can you tell us, again, without giving away the kitchen sink?
Totally. 2 nuggets. How about that? Great. The one I would say is I think as marketers and as folks who are interested in this topic, we come to the table wanting to talk about this stuff. And oftentimes we run into roadblocks, whether it be in our organization or other places to say, it's not feasible, it's not where we are. One thing that really sticks out to me that I'm going to touch on a little bit more is our head of brand strategy here, Liz Kannenberg, always makes an analysis too. When folks say, we're not active on that social network, we're not interested in what people are saying, we haven't had results. To look at social listening and not be interested is like going, passing by a coffee shop where you know full well. I keep using this coffee analogy. I'm not sure why. You know full well. I don't think I'm under caffeinated today. I think that's why. Everyone in that coffee shop that you just walked by is talking about your brand or your business, and you walk right by and say, I'm not interested. That's passing up social listening, and you don't want to do that. We'll be talking a little bit more about the practical applications of the specific networks. And the other thing that we'll talk a little bit more is how we extend our reach outside of marketing. So we've traditionally had social media be limited to that one function within a business, and it's how do we market, how do we tell people about discounts, deals, more services. We see more in customer care, which is really promising. Social listening opens up the door for social to be at the table, at each and every table, all the way up to the C-suite. It really is important for every group. We'll be talking about the reasons why and how we can take steps to make sure that we get these insights to different people. So I'm super excited.
I'm so excited. You have no idea. So what can you tell us, switching gears, just about Sprout? Like, what do you guys have coming up? Obviously, social listening is an area that you guys kind of have been getting into more and more. Is there anything else exciting that you can tell us about Sprout and what you guys are up to and what the roadmap looks like without giving anything away?
Oh my gosh, putting me on the spot. Hopefully the team isn't watching. No, we've got a lot of, don't tell anybody, everybody.
I won't.
We've got a lot of cool stuff coming. I do think social listening is something that we're seeing more and more as something that we want to help extend the reach. So kind of like I alluded to, it's really important to make sure that not just the people who are operating day to day in social are the only ones who have this knowledge. I think sometimes we all beat our head against the wall of saying, why couldn't everybody else see the interactions that we're having the engagement, the customer service. So it's really important for us to make sure that we extend that reach so that other people can take advantage of this information too, both at the brand level, at the organization level, between agencies and clients. That's something that's really important to us that we make sure that we continue to focus on. I would say, and I'm not just saying this because you and I are talking, it's really important to us that we continue to reinforce the human element so we make it even easier for people to connect and engage with each other, both at scale and one-to-one. So be on the lookout for us to continue to invest in those areas and release things that make it easier for us to see the human who's on the other side of that interaction and not just a tweet that came in or a response or question on Facebook or Instagram or any other network that you're on. So those are the couple things that are really important to us and we'll focus on. So expect to see more and more product features and awesome things that come in that realm that make it even easier.
Wait, I'm going to say a word and then based on your reaction, I'll either keep talking or I'll shut up. Are workflows out yet? Like, is that being talked about publicly yet?
Yeah, definitely. So those are available on the Sprout platform. Yes.
Yes. I just wanted to mention again, like, so we're a Sprout partner. I'm a Sprout All-Star. I've literally been using Sprout since they came out. I used them with an agency I was with before I started B Squared, and then I've had them for we'll turn 7 in May. So literally, I'll have been with you guys for the whole time B Squared has been around. And one of the things that y'all released in the way of like that human element was workflows, which is huge. So essentially what a workflow is when we work with the clients inside of the Sprout Social tool, every client has different standard operating procedures, different KPIs that we have to meet. Some of them want to be inside of the tool working side by side with us, some of them don't. But essentially Sprout put together what's called a workflow so that we can set up custom workflows based on those SOPs or standard operating procedures that we have with each one of the clients. Do you want to expand on that a tiny bit? Because I think that this does play to that whole like keeping the human at the center of the intelligent tool, because Sprout is, a suite of intelligent tools or is an intelligent tool, however you want to look at it. But you guys really do kind of keep the human at the center. I think you're a shining example of a tool that is really working on keeping the human front and center, not just with customer service, but with the developments that you release. So kind of go into a little bit about workflows, because I think like that's a shining example of a tool making it better for humans.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for bringing that up. And it is something that obviously is live and available to all Sprout partners, including you. So you're able to leverage that. And it's something that we continue to improve upon to make sure we get to that point that you just mentioned. So we have a very strong product vision. It really comes from our founder and our whole founding team. And that is, we believe that social is a way for people to connect. And it's not just some fluffy mission statements or something that we have on the wall. It really does drive our product innovation. And so when you talk about something like workflow, the problem that we look to solve is that we see ways to mass communicate at scale using technology on social. Many of those ways aren't taking the interactions that need to be taken into account into play. And so what we want to do is create things that help teams that act with the customers, help them do their job a bit better, communicate with each other so they can get to connection faster, so they can get out and send a response or reply to somebody or schedule content, but the right people in the organization can see it. So social is not a burden and obligation. It's just another great platform and way that people can actually connect and make sure that they're publishing relevant content, that they're responding to people in time, things like that. So we know organizations are complex. We don't want to be in the way of that, and we don't want to hinder anyone from doing their job. And we believe that the more flexibility we can give to teams that are operating on social, the better off they're going to be able to connect with people, and they're not wasting a lot of time in tools that are tedious or inflexible. So that's the workflows. It really is a really cool way for different areas of the organization to have visibility, to connect, to collaborate, and how they connect with people on social media. And our hope is that it provides even better results for the organizations and the customers that are using our platform. So that's our end goal, and that's what we're really trying to drive toward.
Yes, it's collaboration. It's human to human collaboration. So for me, it's like agency client collaboration, but it's still, again, it's the machine human collaboration. Yeah. I think it's making the machine work better for the humans, and we're not replacing the humans because the humans still play an integral part in what the intelligent tool does. So anyways, I could love on Sprout all day long, but
so can I.
We will make sure that we link the report that you mentioned earlier in the comments below. We'll link out to Sprout's site so you can see more about Sprout Social and social listening. Anything else that you think that we should link below or that's worth mentioning that pertains to either Sprout Social or the Hello conference that's coming up?
Yeah, so I would say number one, it's been amazing to see your knowledge and insights on this particular topic, social listening. So if anyone is looking for a good resource on this, Brooke and B Squared are great resources when it comes to this kind of stuff. So make sure you do talk to them. I think you've had some great use cases for how it's applied across different types of organizations. So I can't not plug that. I would say, as far as attending the Hello conference, I had a chance to meet with some other speakers about a month ago who are going to be there. I've seen some of their conversations with you here. I am more excited to hear everyone else speak and then connect with everybody there. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. It's going to be pretty informative. And I love the idea that we're getting past, wow, technology can just run. We're getting back to the human element, which is what you're trying to drive here with the conference. So I can't wait. Everyone who can should attend. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you. We will link, as always. But this is like our Pee-wee's Playhouse. Like, we will link everything below as promised, guys. Luke, thank you so much for joining us today. The fact that I get to see you in like 30 days.
Yeah, it's going to be so fun.
It's so awesome. I'm so excited. I can't wait to talk social listening with you. And like I said, I've got some own social listening stuff up my sleeve for my presentation. I think we've got some amazing examples, amazing speakers. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
And we'll see you like in a month or so.
Thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to see you and see everybody at the Hello Conference.
Thanks. Thanks so much, Luke. And Carrie, I think you're listening. Thanks.
Thank you, Carrie.
Yeah, Carrie's on the back end right now looking to stop this whole broadcast. So we may be on air for like longer. We can just like dance. Robot.
We can dance. This is what you have to look forward to.
Yeah. Yes. The Dance Party USA portion will immediately follow the Hello Conference. All right. Well, hopefully we're signing off soon. Carrie, pull the plug. Do it.